In the few years that we've been doing these Mates episode, there has been one episode that rose to the top more than any other, a one that we received more feedback for than any other by kilometres. Tom last year, as we were doing the Mates last year, said, I thought of a guest we could have, and I said, who? Zsa Zsa Gabor, Gary Ablett Jr.? No. Yep. He said, me. Have me on to talk about what I live with every day. And so I said, oh, okay. It turned out to be one of the most thoughtful, engaged interviews we've had, and the feedback just kept coming and coming. I received messages about it personally. I know you received mountains of it. Please welcome a return guest. You know him from the football podcast, and I know him from today having a breakdown trying to get the Auntie Donna Drem tour up for our first show in Hobart on Friday. Please welcome return guest Tom.
Thank you for having me, Broden. And it was really like one of the biggest pranks I've ever pulled on you as well, which was a fun layer to it as well.
What?
Because I was like, interview me about Crohn's. You're like, yes. Absolutely, let's have a laugh. Let's go into it.
And then, I believe 5 minutes in, and quite fairly, and and you really opened up and were you cried,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
you talked about living. Well, what did you talk about?
I spoke about Crohn's disease and the challenges that I'd gone through,
and learning about having it, and yeah.
Yeah, and just like putting it out there so that other people can hear people talk about it, because there's not a lot out there about it.
Yes. But and you talked through your journey of finding out you had it, what it was, and in your early 20s, some of the journeys you went through. So I would recommend anyone who is listening to this cold, go back and listen to that one last year, because not only was it a really opening chat, it was fantastic because it made people aware of Tom the man and the father and everything, as his life. Paddy's crawling across the room out of the room. Your life. And that led to Crohn's and Colitis, the organisation, reaching out to you. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. They were very impressed with the interview.
And they said, can you become an ambassador?
Correct.
How did that go down?
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was just like, it's very complex, wasn't it? Because I was very unsure whether I should talk about it in the first place and how I felt about it, right?
Why?
Because I think it's like, not only because it's like a bit of a faux pas in just general talking about these sort of things. It can be very depressing and, blah, blah, blah. But it's also like I wasn't sure where I sat with it on a personal level, because in a lot of ways I've moved on from a lot of the trauma that I spoke about in a lot of ways, like it's really been 12 years now. And as you know, I've come so far and really conquered a lot of these issues. Yeah. So I wasn't sure if I was really in a good place to be digging up and to going back into these sort of conversations that I'd sort of moved on from a lot of ways in my life. But then I sort of just realized that I felt like an obligation, and I've heard so many people talk about it, and I don't have like some crazy platform. I'm not some Hollywood actor, but a lot of people talk about...
Slow down, cowboy. We have millions of people.
We do. And as soon as you start to realize that you do have a platform of any kind to put a message out there, you start realizing that maybe you should platform things that are important, I guess.
Yeah. And yes, and you... Well, can I talk about this very quickly?
Please.
Is last year, as we were getting this show that we're doing now, Drem Up, you started to have some returning illness, and it felt like... Can you talk through that period in your life? Because it's when you talked about it. We talked about it in the last interview too.
Yeah, was that the reason that we did it?
I think it was a part of it too, as you were starting to feel you just had... Well, essentially, you had your second kid.
Yeah.
You were at a place where you felt like a lot of the illness that you were having in your 20s was coming back, and also we were talking about going on world tour and all this stuff.
Yeah, correct. And I think a lot of like the stuff with IBD is triggered by stress, and I was probably having a very stressful time in my life. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, I sort of just went back to the doctor, and you have your colonoscopies every second year, and he just sort of said, like, it's nothing to worry about, but we can see like little inflammation spots. Like where the scar tissue is from my previous surgery, we can see little inflammations, which means, and I had to ask him, I was like, what does that mean? Does that mean like the scar tissue is inflamed or something? He's like, no, that's Crohn's disease. And I was like, well, you're just dropping that on me because I've been in remission for 10 years, so I haven't had any of these little bits. And he's like, it's no stress. You can come back in 2 years. But it was another reminder of my mortality, I guess, after 10 years of, working through it.
And what are you doing with your health at the moment?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm really trying hard to lose weight. That is my main focus.
You're trying hard and you're succeeding, I'll say.
Yes, I'm succeeding. I tried a keto diet last year and it worked really well. So I lost like 20 kilos. And then I put it all back on when my daughter was born in January. Because let me tell you, it's very hard to diet while you have a daughter that is like relying on you and obviously her mother to survive. So that sort of got put by the side and actually put on all the weight I'd lost back on, which is really disappointing. So now focusing in again. But, that's got sort of nothing to do with Crohn's. That's just got to do with...
Well, it's all part of your wider health and stuff and wanting to be around for your kids and everything.
Oh, exactly right. I would say that the reason I'm overweight to begin with is directly basically an eating disorder brought on directly by having Crohn's disease.
What do you mean by that?
So I think what happened was when I was really sick with Crohn's, I would be sick all the time and a lot of things I ate made me sick. So I would often starve myself. And I know when you look at someone my size, you think that, how can that be? But I would genuinely wake up, go to work, go about my day and not eat because I was so scared of being sick. And then, of course, as a reward when I got home, especially on tour, because there's nothing you want less than going on tour, flying, going on stage and feeling like shit, like you're going to vomit or shit yourself. So I would not eat on tour. And then, of course, when you get back to that safety of the hotel room after the show, I would gorge. And it would be almost become a game. At first I'd have a double quarter pounder meal. Then I'd have a double quarter pounder meal and a McChicken. Then I'd have a double quarter pounder meal and McChicken and nuggets. And before I knew it, I developed over 5 years, basically an eating disorder, which was starve myself, gorge, and doing it every day. And then, of course, you go to bed and you sleep while you've got all this crap in your stomach and you don't metabolize it, and it's just a very dangerous, bad way of existing.
Do you think you were given a good education on food when you were a kid?
No, definitely not. I'm one of those kids that was
Not to say that Crohn's is any way connected to this. That's not what I'm saying.
No, absolutely not. But it is entirely relevant to the conversation, I think, and especially my eating disorders now. I think I was one of those kids who wasn't allowed anything. So having sugar, having a Coke, having bad food was a treat. And that can be positive for some children. I think that was entirely negative to me because as soon as I had pocket money, where did it go? Lollies, sugar. As soon as I had a part-time job, where did it go? Lollies, sugar, alcohol. And then it just never ended. As soon as I had as much money as I needed to exist, I just ate whatever I want and it was just sugar. Because I guess I developed this thing of it was like a reward system, right? The worst thing you can have in the world, we talk about this together all the time, is food as a reward system is just...
I'm the same as you. It's awful.
It's really a bad habit.
But you taught me something very cool at uni once. And because I kind of was raised with, I don't know how I was raised as far as food goes, but I remember at uni once, when we were at Black Hill, at your house at Black Hill, you had apple crumble and you put not only vanilla custard on it, but you also put chocolate custard on it. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, 100%.
And maybe even ice cream on top of it. And
Yeah,
I was like,
no, all about
fuck, you didn't pick one. And I was like, that really opened up doors for me.
My favorite thing was getting an apple crumble Neapolitan ice cream, including the chocolate, the vanilla, and the strawberry on my apple pie, and then cream and custard as well.
That's
and this
fucked,
is the
man.
thing when that's your entire reward system, and especially if you've gone throughout the day depriving yourself of healthy nutrients and stuff. So when you get home, you're fucking starving, and you realize there's no one going to stop you as an adult doing what you want to do.
No, that was the worst bit because we had different parenting, but your parents didn't let you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so when you were out, you're like, I'm
going nuts.
I'm having
right?
Neapolitan vanilla and chocolate custard on an apple.
Yeah, it was like they were it's typical. I see it now, and I'm going to make sure I don't do this with my son. I was the kid who I wasn't allowed to drink when I was 16.
Yeah.
So I would go wait outside the bottle with my friends, give $50 to a random person. They would buy us alcohol.
Really?
And then I would binge drink. Yeah.
You did that once?
Oh, yeah, we did that all the time.
Not with me.
No, not with you because we had Ray to get us
Yeah,
a
we
drink
had a
if
year 12, yeah.
Yeah, we had a year 12 friend. But no, with Yuri and stuff, we would...
Did adults, when you went to Thirsty Camel, would a guy buy you drinks?
Absolutely. Sometimes we'd have to wait an hour and a half. And sometimes we send Dimitri, who was a young lad who looked about 30.
Yeah, because he had Greek heritage. He was very hairy.
He looked like very old. But yeah, and then we would just say, here's $50, get us a bottle of vodka and keep the change. And people are like, yeah, no worries. Fun kids.
Do you know what you used to do?
Yeah.
You used to break, like, because we would have the key party of the year was the musical after party.
Yeah.
So in August-ish.
Yeah.
And so through the entire musical, you'd be going, here's what I'll be drinking at the after party.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you would go through and go, so a Smirnoff Double Black is 2.4 standard drinks.
Yeah.
So, and a Lemon Rusky is, 1.9 standard drinks. So by the end of the night, I've had 9.8 standard drinks. You would start mathematically equating.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. I think now, like, what I want to do with my children's is moderation. Teach them moderation for everything, right?
Yep.
Never ban anything, because when you ban something, it just, it can go the opposite way.
Yeah.
And how many times did I literally almost kill myself from alcoholism? Like,
I don't know.
You think about that Easter. Remember that Easter?
Yeah, but that was an Easter where at a older kid's house you had like red wine from a goon sack.
Yeah,
like cooking cast red wine. Yeah,
and vomited for 2 days afterwards, and that's alcohol poisoning at 16.
You still can't drink red wine.
No, I still can't. Not to this day. Even a bolognese with too much red wine. See you later. Like, I'm out.
But so off last year, it built into something very cool. So you were in touch with the Crohn's and Colitis Association.
Yes,
organization.
Yeah, Crohn's and Colitis Australia. Maybe.
And they have a campaign that they do every year called the Live Fearless Challenge, which is essentially, what is it?
I think, like, essentially it's like it's the idea of going, this September I'm going to live fearlessly, and that can present itself in a number of ways, and I'm going to raise money for Crohn's while doing it. So the main thing that people do is they try and run 150 Ks
across September.
So, and that's a good one for me, because before last year I hadn't run in like 10 years.
Did you buy a treadmill for this last year?
I did, yes. I bought a very nice treadmill, and I have not regretted it since.
Yeah, you've been using it for the whole year, haven't you?
Yeah, I've absolutely been loving it. It's been worth every cent. And because we're going on tour, I've just signed up for Anytime, which I'm excited about.
When can you go there?
Apparently, anytime, anywhere. You've been telling me about the great Anytime Fitnesses in New York. And
on last tour, I went in London, Glasgow, Manchester, Austin, Texas, Philadelphia, Perth, all of them. Go on.
Yeah, so, and I think the idea is it's like, especially like, it resonated with me last year because it was about, we've spoken about it before in the past, but you want to talk about getting me into the gym or making healthy choices, then I immediately throw up, especially because of like Crohn's and all the things I've been through, a million barriers as to why I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like I'm always sick in the morning. The sickest I am in the morning is the first 2 hours. So I hate going to the gym, leaving the house too early, because that's when I'm most likely to feel unwell,
Yep.
So the idea of going to a gym at 6:30 in the morning is like an immediate barrier. I don't want to do that.
Yep.
So then it means after work, but of course after work you're exhausted or whatever.
You're cooked.
So I think it's just one of those things where it's just like, when you have a chronic illness, not through any fault of your own, it can be hard to just be like, I'm going to focus on my health and do something for me. That's the message I take out of it.
Yeah.
So when I run 150 Ks this September, it's about me going, I'm going to put my health as a priority this month while raising awareness.
You did heaps more than 150 though, didn't you?
No, I think I actually struggled for 150, and I think you did 10 Ks for me. But I also was doing yoga and stuff. So if you can't run, you can do yoga and stuff.
So what was your initial goal last year?
So our initial goal was, we were going to do 150 together because we were very worried about me doing an injury. Or do you mean monetarily? Monetarily, I think we were going to go for $2,000, I think.
Yeah.
Or something in that sort of realm.
And what did you, from the interview and just being open to like 3 or 4 months later, how much did you raise for the Crohn's and Colitis organisation?
Yeah, so I think we raised about 16,000 in the end, which is incredible. And a lot of people signed up and ran with me and did fun stuff.
I often think when I sit here as well, because we did it till grand final day, and then in the last day, like double came in.
Yeah, because we also donated everything from like my streams that month, and some of our streams, I think, as well.
And also Humdinger here, all the team here, donated the space and let us do that, and it just kept going and going.
Yeah.
But I don't thank people enough for that support of grand final morning.
Neither do I. It is one of those things that's just like, yes, constant thankfulness.
Yeah, people are very generous, and that was that was a really nice way. And then Brisbane, unfortunately, Swans didn't show up.
Yes.
But Well, that's good. So this is the announcement that you are doing it again.
Yep.
The link is on our Instagram, or you'll probably obviously be under this on Spotify or YouTube or wherever you're watching it or listening to it.
Yeah.
And also you can join up as well. Is that right? And be part of the team?
Absolutely. If you'd like to run alongside us, we already have a team of like 7 people who have signed up and are going to run and raise some money. And that's a lot of fun. Had quite a few people just message and say, you know, I have someone in my life who's going through it, or I'm going through it. I want to do it as well. And that's great.
When we were over in Adelaide, someone else with the illness, living with the illness, came up and just talked very openly about their experience. And it was really like, do you feel like you've had an impact, or do you feel good about speaking about it last year?
Oh, 100%. I think it's like, it's only a positive thing. I think that sometimes I feel like I have burdened myself with, you know, being out there and stuff.
Why?
But then, because I think, you know, it just puts certain labels and certain things on yourself that you might want to keep hidden. But then that's the cost of it, right? But the rewards are just... seeing how much impact you've had and the positive feedback from so many people. So it's well and truly worth it.
Can I ask you a question?
You hit me.
Maybe touchy. But sometimes if we're at there are points where your illness is a road bump in living for you, whether that's getting on a plane or needing to get up and use the bathroom or get through a place, or you might need to go into a restaurant, and you're very reticent ever to bring it up or use it or just not use it, but communicate what you need.
Correct.
Why?
I think like something we spoke about last time, but I think it is an anxiety that sort of grew from this idea of like fatiguing and trauma dumping on other people. I think. And obviously if you go to someone in a Kmart, hey, I really need to use your bathroom, I have a disease. That's not trauma dumping on someone.
No.
But I think I've developed an anxiety of like, keep it to yourself, deal with it yourself. It's no one else's problem.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a barrier for me. And for a large part, I do sort of agree with that. I like that I have conquered it in a way, and I used to, when I met someone, I was like, when am I going to tell them I have Crohn's? Like, obviously, we've got a new team member with us. I'll need to tell them I have Crohn's. Like, that's going to be so important for them to know.
Yep.
And it is a beautiful blessing to be like, no, I'm in control of my disease now. I don't need to tell every Tom, Dick, and Harry who comes across my path.
Right.
So it is there's power in having it as a personal experience as well.
That you don't like the burden of having to tell people all the time is a large part of it.
Yeah, and I think if I'm feeling like I'm telling people all the time, then it means it's not in control, and I do need support from others.
Yeah.
And you know what it's like. No one really wants to feel like, you know, they're a burden on others.
There's been other times as well where I'm like, I walk up for you and say, this guy needs to use the bathroom now. 100%. He has a debilitating illness.
Absolutely, which I always appreciate.
No, I'm good to do that. What have you been doing today?
Oh, mate. Today, like doing our final programming for the Drem World Tour. So trying to make my laptop with QLab talk to Resolume on Lockie's computer. And
so what's your job on a big Auntie Donna World Tour?
So it's multifaceted. I say like my main thing is doing like audio cues. I think we could boil it down to that. But it's really tour managing, tour liaising.
When did you become a tour manager?
When I got sick of being tour managed, which I would say is also a thing from Crohn's as well, believe it or not. Because I used to be like, I hate being rushed. There's nothing worse than being like, we're an hour away from the airport. We've got 45 minutes to get there. I'm feeling ill. All I want to do is pull over and have some fresh air and maybe go to a bathroom, but we're going to miss a flight if I do that. So I got so frustrated with people rushing me not being across it stuff. And as soon as I realized that I could take control...
We would be doing tours around the world, and we might find that we'd walk out of Wellington Airport and the person who was managing us would go, all right, let's get 9 taxis for all of our stuff. And you would be like, we could have organised a car, or we get to a hotel and it's not booked correctly, or all these kind of problems that are there when you travel.
Yeah.
And you went, fuck this, I'm just doing it all. So, and that's how you became a tour manager, not just for Auntie Donna, but for touring American acts and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I've realised that, like, I think when you're on tour, and it is a rare experience for a lot of people, but there's two modes of doing it. You either take charge and you know exactly where you're going and what you're doing and you really own it, or you just sit back and you get told what to do and where to go.
You're a baby.
And that's also, there's power in that. That's awesome as well. Just tell me when to be where. But I just found that would give me massive anxiety. So I need to be in control. And I thought it would be such a burden, but I've actually found it really rewarding being in control.
Yeah, because in an Auntie Donna show now, you're not only organising the venue and getting the sound and everything all set up with our team, but then also you're running the audio cues. Mm-hmm. You're now running the visual cues.
Yep.
You may or may not be in the show at points.
Yep.
Do you enjoy doing it, or is it a thing you're just happy to get through?
I think that is a complex question because...
and also I'll add to that, being away with 2 kids under the age of 3.
Yeah, I think I find it the most stressful thing, but I was talking to Georgia, one of the producers here, and she really... I find it so stressful but equally rewarding. And she was like, that's what a producer is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Producing's all about problem solvings. And you come up against more problems than ever. But when you solve them and you get the shoot done or the show done, it can be so rewarding. And with the children, it's going to be so hard this time, especially with Atlas being 3. He's turning 3 in next month, missing his birthday while we're on the road.
Oh, Jesus.
And I do feel like whether I like it or not, this might be the last big tour.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love to be in a position where I have the choice. But yeah, it's so much pressure on my wife and I don't want the kids to get to an age where they actually realize I'm gone, you know?
Yeah.
So it might be the last big tour.
Yeah. So book.
Yeah, exactly.
Also doing a football podcast at the same time.
Yes.
How has it felt over the last few years of doing this? Because you were like, well, tell me more about the podcast arm. What's your connection in Auntie Donna's having you done well, Grouse House World? Because people kind of adjacent see this, and some people might be interested in it in the next stage of what Auntie Donna does. But what's your podcast arm? When you, at the start of this podcast, when you hear this has been a Grouse House production, what's your goal for that?
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting. I could talk about it for hours, but I think like the simple story there is like, I think truthfully, you know, like I think we got to a point where Auntie Donna, the podcast, had sort of outgrown me as a producer because I had just taught myself how to make the Auntie Donna podcast, and so we let Auntie Donna go, and we're with a different network now. And then as soon as that podcast left me, I learnt so much by seeing what the other network did.
So yeah, let me rephrase that in another way. If
Sure.
you had the workload of getting the Auntie Donna podcast up, producing it, editing it, and then Georgia went, I'm going to lessen your burden and give it to another team.
Yeah.
And you went, okay, I'm going to replace that with 3 podcasts.
Yeah, because I learned so much. And then what happened was we launched this podcast, and through the process of seeing how Auntie Donna was going at this other network and how we made this podcast, I learned so much, and I suddenly had an understanding of how to build podcasts and build brands, because that's what we believe here, is that we're not building a podcast, we're building a brand. And I was like, I want to apply that to other things, as many as I can, and become the biggest network in Australia.
So what are the other 2?
So the other one is Mission Zach podcast, which is our good friends Mish Wittrup and Zach Ruane. And then the Mel and Sam Rat Bag with Mel and Sam, which is Mel O'Brien and Sam Andrew. Which is like...
And what connects them thematically?
I think they're all comedy, but I would love to get to a place where, you know, it's all loosely linked by this comedy brand, because that is our brand. But
I think they're all loosely linked by you being in them.
Yes, there's that now too as well.
Like in our football podcast, you're, you know, bringing your stats and your super coach and all of that. With Mission Zach, you're what are you?
Yeah, I guess I'm like the straight guy almost, because I'm the guy who's never seen the movies. So if they're telling me about a movie I don't understand, I get to be like, the audience doesn't understand because I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then same with Mel and Sam, they're talking about some stuff about their lived experience. I've got no idea what you're talking about.
It's 2 mid-20s music theatre lesbian women, and they and you just are throwing to you about stuff that you have no idea about whatsoever.
And there's joy and comedy in that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to listen to Tom in any other, with the context of being a fan of this podcast, I do recommend you go and listen to either of them. It is a very funny experience. Well, that's our chat. I want to plug the Live Fearless run, which you can go to our links everywhere and support Tommy Boy as he hits this September, which this will come out in September, I believe.
Yeah.
And you'll be editing this.
Yeah, I'll be editing.
And also, if you could support the Footy with Broden Kelly podcast, which Tom is a thing of.
Yep.
And enjoy the finals and the W. Anything else from you, Tom?
No, thank you so much for having me. What a great chat.
Bounce that pill.
This is a Grouse House podcast.